There comes a moment in every seeker's journey when the material world begins to feel incomplete. You sense there is more, something just beyond the veil, calling to you in whispers, in dreams, in moments of inexplicable knowing. You have felt it before, haven't you? That strange certainty that you are not alone, that something or someone is watching, guiding, waiting for you to notice. But what if I told you that these whispers are not just the echoes of your imagination? What if I told you that communication beyond the physical world is not only possible, but that you were always meant to hear it? Across ancient civilizations, from the mystics of Egypt to the shamans of the Amazon, there were those who knew how to listen, not with their ears, but with their soul. They spoke with unseen forces, conversed with intelligences beyond our plane, and walked between worlds as easily as stepping from shadow into light. These were not myths. They were the first astral communicators, the pioneers of an art long forgotten. And yet, this ability is not reserved for a chosen few. It has been buried, suppressed, and ridiculed, but it is not lost. It is dormant, like embers beneath the ashes, waiting for the right breath of awareness to ignite it once more. You are standing at the threshold of this forgotten knowledge. The first steps into astral communication require more than belief. They demand a shift in perception, a tuning of the inner senses. And once you begin, the world will never look the same again. But be warned, this path is not one of idle curiosity. It is one of initiation, a path that leads to profound awakening and irreversible change. If you are ready to listen, to perceive, to step beyond the illusion of separation, then let us begin. The first secret is not in what you saw, but in what you hear. Long before the rise of modern civilization, before words were written in stone and history was bound by the limits of time, there were those who spoke the language of the unseen. Not with tongues, nor with symbols carved into clay, but with the mind itself, transmitting thought across the veil, conversing with entities that existed beyond the physical. This was not superstition. It was a science. The ancient Egyptians believed that the Ba, the soul's roaming essence, could leave the body and commune with divine forces. In their sacred temples, initiates underwent rigorous training to awaken this ability, learning the art of silent dialogue with higher beings. The Tibetan monks too spoke of the tulpas, thought forms that could be manifested through the sheer will of consciousness. The shamans of indigenous cultures entered deep trance states, walking between dimensions to receive messages from ancestors, spirits, and interdimensional guides. But as the ages passed, this sacred knowledge became obscured. The rise of materialism stripped humanity of its connection to the unseen. What was once considered wisdom became folklore. What was once revered became ridiculed. Yet fragments of this knowledge remained, hidden in esoteric traditions, encoded in ancient texts, whispered by mystics who had not forgotten. The Hermetic teachings of Thoth, the Akashic records of the Vedic sages, the etheric sciences of the Rosicrucians, all spoke of the same truth. Communication is not bound by flesh. Consciousness is not confined to the body, and reality itself is but a thin membrane separating the seen from the unseen. But why was this knowledge suppressed? Because those who understand it become free. They are no longer shackled by the illusions of time and space. They do not fear death, for they know it is merely a transition. They do not seek external power, for they realize the greatest power is within. This is why you were never taught how to listen beyond the physical. This is why society ridicules that which it cannot explain, because to regain this lost ability is to reclaim something far more profound than mere words. It is to awaken your true nature. Now the question remains, how do you take the first steps? The answer lies not in speaking, but in attuning yourself to the frequencies of the astral. And for that, we must break through the veil of perception itself. Astral communication is not about speaking. It is about tuning in. Imagine this. You are standing in a crowded room filled with voices. Hundreds of conversations overlap, merging into an indecipherable noise. But then, you focus. You hone in on a single voice across the room. Slowly, the chaos fades and that one voice becomes clear. This is how astral communication works. The unseen realms are not silent. They are filled with frequencies, signals, and consciousness beyond our own. But most people live in a state of static. their minds clouded with distractions, unable to perceive the messages constantly flowing around them. The first step, then, is to clear the interference, tuning the mind to the astral frequency. Your consciousness is like a receiver, capable of attuning to different planes of reality. But just as a radio must be set to the right station to pick up a clear signal, so too must your mind be aligned with the astral frequencies. How? Through a shift in perception. In normal waking consciousness, your mind is locked into the physical senses, sight, sound, touch. But astral perception requires a different mode of awareness, inner stillness. A mind that is noisy cannot hear whispers from beyond. Deep meditation is essential, not as a passive relaxation, but as an active attunement. Sensory disengagement. The less you rely on your physical senses, the stronger your inner senses become. This is why darkness, silence, and solitude have been used by mystics for centuries. Lucid receptivity. Instead of forcing communication, you must enter a state of quiet expectancy, like a dreamer on the edge of wakefulness. The messages will come, not in words, but in impressions, symbols, and subtle knowing. The language of the unseen. One of the greatest misconceptions about astral communication is that it works like human speech. It does not. Those who seek spoken words will often hear nothing. The astral speaks in symbols, emotions, and direct knowing. It bypasses language entirely. This is why ancient cultures relied so heavily on sacred geometry, numerology, and archetypal imagery. They understood that higher intelligences communicate through pattern and resonance, not words. For example, if you receive a vision of an eye, it may signify awakening, perception beyond the physical. If you feel a sudden rush of warmth, it may indicate the presence of a guiding force, a benevolent entity. If numbers repeat in your dreams or meditations, they may be codes, frequencies meant to unlock deeper awareness. Your task is not to interpret with logic, but to experience with intuition. The mind will try to rationalize. Ignore it. Let the impressions flow without resistance, and their meaning will reveal itself in time. The first contact, recognizing the response. As you begin the process, you may wonder, how will I know if I've made contact? The answer is subtle, but unmistakable. A thought enters your mind that feels foreign yet deeply familiar. A sensation of presence arises, as if someone unseen is standing beside you. A wave of emotion, love, peace, or even a tingling vibration washes over you. A synchronicity appears in the waking world, confirming what you sensed in the astral. These are the first signs. The door is opening. But to step through, you must go deeper, into the realms where true dialogue begins, and where the boundaries of self dissolve into the infinite. Once the door to astral communication has been unlocked, the real work begins. This is where the practice deepens, where myths dissolve, and where your perception must shift entirely. Most people assume that astral contact means calling out and waiting for a response. But in truth, the higher realms do not operate on the principles of question and answer, but rather on resonance and alignment. What does this mean? It means that communication is not about reaching out. It is about becoming a vibrational match to what you seek. The law of resonance, why you attract what you are. In the astral, there is no deception. You cannot hide your true essence. Every thought, every emotion, every intention radiates outward, forming an energetic signature that determines who and what responds to you. This is why ancient initiates spent years purifying their minds before attempting contact. They knew that lower vibrational thoughts, fear, doubt, greed, would only attract entities that mirrored those frequencies. If you seek wisdom, you must embody clarity. If you seek guidance, you must cultivate humility. If you seek higher beings, you must elevate your own state of being. The astral does not respond to what you ask, it responds to what you are. Beyond words, the higher forms of communication. As you progress, you will begin to notice that communication on the astral plane is instantaneous and multidimensional. Information does not come in linear sentences. It comes as entire concepts, emotions, and visions all at once. This is known as direct knowing. You won't just receive an answer, you will understand something in a way that bypasses language entirely. You may also experience telepathic transmission, words and thoughts appearing fully formed in your mind, as if placed there by an unseen intelligence. Symbolic visions, vivid imagery that carries layers of meaning beyond what the logical mind can comprehend. energetic imprinting, feeling a sudden shift in emotion or vibration as if being tuned to a higher frequency. Many who have successfully communicated in the astral describe it as a flood of understanding, as if knowledge long buried within them is suddenly remembered. Common pitfalls and misconceptions. The biggest mistake beginners make is assuming that all contact is divine. It is not. Just as there are wise teachers in the physical world, there are also deceivers in the astral. Not every presence you encounter has your best interest at heart. Some are merely curious. Others feed on fear and confusion. This is why discernment is crucial. Ask yourself, does this communication uplift my consciousness, or does it create dependency? Does the message carry wisdom, or does it feel manipulative? Does it align with universal truth, or does it fuel ego and illusion? Higher beings will never instill fear, demand worship, or provide answers that strip you of your sovereignty. True guidance empowers you. Anything that seeks to control or deceive is not of the higher realms. The gateway to deeper contact. Once you have attuned yourself, developed discernment, and learned to navigate the astral currents, something profound begins to happen. The connection becomes effortless. You no longer try to communicate, you simply exist in a state of receptivity. Insights flow to you naturally. Answers arise before questions are even formed. You begin to see reality not as separate dimensions, but as a vast, interconnected field of consciousness. This is the path of the true astral communicator. But knowing is not enough. The real transformation begins when you take this knowledge and apply it to your daily life. Because true wisdom is not measured by what you hear, it is measured by what you become. Knowledge alone is a door left unopened. To truly step into astral communication, you must integrate these teachings into your daily life. This is not about theory, it is about practice, discipline, and transformation. Below are the first steps to begin developing your ability to communicate beyond the physical. These techniques are drawn from ancient esoteric traditions, refined through centuries of mystical practice. 1. The Stillness Protocol. Preparing your mind for astral reception. Before you can receive, you must empty. The biggest obstacle to astral communication is the chaos of the mind. Thoughts, anxieties, and subconscious noise create interference, blocking the subtle transmissions from the higher realms. To clear the path, practice the Stillness Protocol every day. Enter darkness. Find a quiet space free of distractions. Dim the lights or sit in complete darkness. This disengages the visual sense and enhances inner perception. Slow your breath. Inhale deeply for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 6. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system, shifting your state into deep receptivity. Drop into presence. Let go of thoughts. Do not suppress them, simply observe. Imagine yourself becoming a silent watcher, a still point in an ocean of motion. Feel beyond the body with your eyes closed, sense the space around you. Can you feel the energy of the room? Can you detect subtle shifts in vibration? Let yourself listen with your entire being. This practice retunes your awareness, making it easier to perceive non-physical communication. 2. The Call and Response Technique. Sending a signal into the astral pulse. Once stillness is established, you must send out a signal, an invitation for communication. The ancients did not call out with words, they used intention and resonance. To practice, formulate your request. Instead of asking in words, feel your question. Let it become an emotion, an image, a pure intent in your heart. Project it outward. Imagine this energy expanding beyond you, like ripples in a vast ocean. See it moving beyond the physical, reaching into the unseen. Wait in silence, do not force a response. Simply remain open. The reply may come immediately, or it may appear in dreams, synchronicities, or sudden intuitive insights. Recognize the response. It may arrive as a thought that is not your own, a sensation, a shift in energy. Do not expect a booming voice, expect subtle knowing. 3. The Symbol Recognition Method. Learning the language of the astral. As you deepen your practice, messages will often come in the form of symbols. This is the universal language of the higher realms. To decode these transmissions, keep a symbol journal. Write down every image, number, or pattern that appears in your meditations or dreams. Meditate on one symbol at a time. Instead of rationalizing, feel its meaning. What emotions or insights arise? Cross-reference with ancient wisdom. Many astral symbols align with archetypal imagery found in sacred traditions, e.g., the eye for perception, the serpent for transformation, the spiral for evolution. Over time, you will develop your own inner lexicon, making communication clearer and more direct. Number 4. The Astral Gateway Ritual. Strengthening your connection. For those ready to go deeper, a nightly ritual can help solidify astral contact. Before bed, follow this sequence. Set a clear intention. As you lie down, affirm, "Tonight, I open myself to higher communication. May all messages be for my highest good." Use a trigger object. Place a crystal, sigil, or sacred item under your pillow. This creates an energetic focal point, enhancing your connection. Visualize an astral gateway. Imagine yourself walking through a luminous portal, stepping beyond the physical into a vast cosmic expanse. Let go. Release all expectations. Trust that contact will unfold naturally. With repetition, you will begin to experience direct encounters, visions, messages, and lucid interactions with the unseen. Overcoming obstacles. What to do when nothing happens. If you struggle to make contact, consider the following. Are you forcing it? Communication cannot be demanded, it must be allowed. Is your frequency aligned? If your energy is chaotic, lower vibrational, or clouded by doubt, the signal will be weak. Return to inner stillness. Are you overlooking the response? Often, answers come in ways we don't expect, through dreams, symbols, synchronicities. Stay open to all forms of communication. True astral communication is not about trying harder, it is about becoming more receptive. And as you continue this path, something profound will happen. You will no longer seek communication, you will simply exist in a state of constant connection. There comes a moment on this path when you realize the great mystery you have been seeking has been speaking to you all along. The universe is not silent. The higher realms do not withhold. It is only the noise of the mind, the rigidity of perception, and the blindness of doubt that have kept you from hearing. Astral communication is not a skill you acquire. It is a state of being you return to. It is the remembrance of a truth long buried. You were never disconnected to begin with. Every dream that felt too vivid to be imagination, every intuition that arrived without logic, every synchronicity that felt too precise to be coincidence. These were not accidents, these were messages, glimpses of a greater reality breaking through the veil. The path forward, integration into daily life. What comes next is not about practicing more techniques, but about living in attunement. Ask yourself, am I truly listening, not with the ears, but with the heart, the intuition, the deeper knowing? Am I living in resonance with what I seek? You cannot communicate with wisdom if your actions contradict it. You cannot receive higher guidance if your mind is clouded by lower distractions. Am I honoring the messages I receive? Insight means nothing without application. What you learn must shape who you become. You are not merely a seeker of wisdom, you are a vessel for it. And when you step fully into this awareness, the division between the physical and the astral dissolves. Every moment becomes a dialogue with the unseen. Every breath becomes a communion with the infinite. This is not the end of the journey. This is only the beginning. The door is open. Are you ready to step through?